5 years ago today, US Special Forces killed Osama bin Laden in the Abbottabad district of Pakistan. Since bin Laden's death, his Al-Qaeda organization is far from breaking up, but security experts believe that Daesh has replaced it as the preeminent terrorist organization. Well, we've got security analyst Pervez Hoodbhoy with us now from Islamabad to discuss the situation 5 years after the death of Osama bin Laden. Thank you very much for your time. So 5 years on then, how has bin Laden's death affected Al-Qaeda and their operations?
Al-Qaeda seems to be seriously weakened, and these days when there are arrests in Pakistan, one does occasionally hear of an Al-Qaeda operative being arrested, but Al-Qaeda's place has been taken over by an even more radical organization, and that is the Islamic State, or Daesh. They essentially share the same philosophy, and they're both dedicated to enforcing Sharia by force. However, Al-Qaeda does not have a state in the sense that Daesh has a state in Syria and Iraq. And it is trying to establish itself in Afghanistan, where it has made some inroads, but curiously enough, it's been opposed tooth and nail by the Taliban, who see this as an attempt to take over their turf. And so you have two extremist forces in Afghanistan battling it out, cutting off each other's heads, and they do so in spite of the fact that they are both believers in the same ideology, the same holy book, and want the same thing.
You mentioned arrests in Pakistan there. Do we know more about the role that Pakistan played in tracking and capturing Osama bin Laden?
Well, there has been a report by Seymour Hersh, which was published just a couple of months ago, which says that it was not the messenger who was tracked, and eventually that was how Osama bin Laden's location was located, but that it was a Pakistani military officer who had been bribed, and he had then told about Osama bin Laden being in Abbottabad, and then the American forces took him out. This is plausible, and I'd say that it could be right, but but Seymour Hersh, who is the author of this article, does not give any proof other than saying that these are undisclosable sources. So I'd say that at the level of plausibility, it's fine, but it's certainly not proof. And Seymour Hersh will have to come up with something much more definitive before we believe that it was this army officer who leaked it. But in any case, what does it matter? The fact is that he was living in the city of Abbottabad under the nose of the Pakistani intelligence services, and surely there was something dreadfully wrong with this system. So was it incompetence or was it collusion? That remains unknown.
We certainly don't know that at the moment. Maybe we never will. But how has it all affected relations between the US and Pakistan?
It had a terrible effect in 2011 when Osama bin Laden was captured, because the American forces violated Pakistan's sovereignty. They came in on their helicopters and they took him out, knowing full well that they were going into another country. And well, for, I'd say, quite a long while, our relations, it seemed, were even worse than our relations with India. India is considered to be Pakistan's prime adversary. But now, after the American withdrawal from Afghanistan, which was at the end of 2014, I do believe that relations with the United States are on the mend. Let's see whether they shall continue to improve after the American presidential elections. After all, you have Donald Trump saying that he will come in and he sees Pakistan as a greater threat to world security and to the United States than possibly any other country. and perhaps at the level of Iran, he says. So that's going to be an interesting watch.
Okay, Pervez Hoodbhoy, thank you very much for your time there from Islamabad. Much appreciated.
Certainly.